All right, welcome. Today, we're jumping into one of the most powerful stories of transformation you'll ever hear. Seriously, it's about a man who goes from being a fierce persecutor to an unwavering believer. This is the story of Saul of Tarsus, and how one single moment, one single question, changed absolutely everything.
Everything really hinges on this one piercing question. Just try to put yourself in his shoes for a second. You're on a mission. You are 100% certain you're doing the right thing. And then boom, a light from heaven stops you dead in your tracks, and a voice challenges the very core of who you are. This question from the book of Acts, well, it's the turning point for a man who thought he had life all figured out.
Now, to really appreciate how massive this change was, we have to understand the man himself. Who exactly was Saul? What was driving him? Because you see, his transformation wasn't from, say, apathy to belief. No, it was from one deeply, fiercely held conviction to another.
I mean, just look at his profile. This guy was not a marginal figure. Not at all. He was a Roman citizen, which was a big deal, gave him a lot of status. He was a Jew by faith and heritage, and he was trained by the most brilliant, most respected teachers of his day. He even became a member of the Sanhedrin, the highest court. By all accounts, this was a man with a very, very bright future.
And this part is absolutely crucial. His actions, his persecution, it didn't come from a place of just pure malice. Saul was a zealous, passionate defender of what he believed was the truth. He was driven by this incredible patriotic devotion and a really deep religious faith. In his mind, he was protecting the traditions he had spent his entire life studying and upholding.
But all that zeal had a target. See, at the time, many felt their national identity was at risk, because of Roman oppression. And they were hoping to get their supremacy back, possibly through force. So this message from Jesus, a message all about peace, well, it was seen as a direct threat to those ambitions. And Saul, he became one of the most relentless, most determined people trying to stamp it out.
So, with all that in mind, picture this. He's on the road to Damascus, just filled with this righteous fury, ready to continue his work. And it's right here, in this moment, that everything changes in a flash. As he's getting close to the city, a light from heaven, a vision of the very person he was going after, just shines all around him. And this one single, overwhelming moment, it didn't just stop him physically. It completely rerouted the entire river of his life. The path he was so sure about just vanished.
So, what happened next wasn't some immediate public speech or declaration. No, what came next was a profound journey inward. After that blinding light came a period of total darkness, both physically and spiritually, where Saul was forced to confront everything he ever thought he knew.
We really can overstate how intense this time was for him. 3 days might not sound like a long time, but for Saul, the sheer weight of it all, reevaluating his entire existence, made it feel like years had gone by. It was this compressed, powerful time of reckoning with himself. So what was actually happening during those 3 days? Well, he was completely alone, cut off from the world. The only thing he could turn to were the scriptures he had memorized his whole life. But now he was seeing them with totally new eyes. His old education was set aside, and Christ himself became his teacher, reinterpreting everything he had ever learned. And the person who emerges from that darkness is, well, he's fundamentally different. This wasn't just him changing his mind about something. This was a complete and total change of identity, a full reversal of his life's purpose.
Just look at this comparison. It's staggering. Saul the Pharisee was a renowned teacher. Paul the disciple became a humble learner. The proud defender of tradition became this radical messenger of a new gospel. The guy who was honored by the establishment would eventually become a martyr for the very thing he once tried to destroy. It's a complete 180.
And maybe this is the most powerful way to sum up his whole journey. For a man of his intellect, his training, his status, the kind of humility it takes to set all that aside and become a student again, that is truly remarkable.
So, when we boil it all down, what can we take away from this story? Beyond just the history of it, it's his powerful devotional lesson about what it means to really, truly live out a new truth.
It's funny, because from the outside, it looks like he gave up everything, right? His status, his reputation, his safety, all gone. But from his new perspective, it wasn't a sacrifice, not at all. He realized that everything he'd been clinging to, his pride, his traditions, his place in the Sanhedrin, that was actually the wrong path. He gained something infinitely more valuable. And you could see this new life in everything he did. It wasn't just talk. He went and joined the very people he used to hunt down. He admitted he was wrong and completely changed his message. He didn't just teach about this new faith, he lived it. And in the end, he was willing to die for it.
And that kind of brings us to our final thought here. Paul's story is, of course, dramatic and unique, but it forces all of us to ask a pretty universal question. When you look at this incredible reversal, from persecutor to apostle, what does it really mean to realize you're on the wrong path, and then to actually have the courage to completely change course? It's definitely something worth thinking about. Thanks for joining me for this one.